With us is Tristan Snell, a lawyer, legal commentator, managing partner of MainStreet.Law. Previously served as Assistant Attorney General for New York State, where he led the investigation and prosecution of Trump University. He's also the author of the upcoming book, Taking Down Trump, 12 Rules for Prosecuting Donald Trump by Someone Who Did It Successfully. The website, takingdowntrump.com, the Twitter handle, Tristan Snell, Tristansnell. Tristan, welcome to the program. So give us a quick overview of the current legal status of Donald Trump.
Oh, gosh. Well, let's see. Quick overview. That's a little bit tough to do that. He is what we call in the legal profession in deep trouble. Like he's, or how spicy can I get here? You can't
get very spicy. We're on commercial.
You can't get very. That's fine. So we're not going to get too spicy about it. But he is in some deep manure. Let's put it that way. With his legal situation right now. Put it this way: as I point out in the book, as a good comp, John Gotti, who famously was the first person to be called Teflon Don with regard to his legal issues, had 3 acquittals. And he paid people off. They were intimidating witnesses. Other people eventually went to jail for intimidating and buying off jurors for him. But the 4th criminal trial, he lost, and it put him away. And that was the end of him. Donald Trump now has 4 criminal trials that he's facing right now. And he's under much more of a microscope to make sure that he's not going to be doing things like trying to buy off or intimidate jurors. That's what some of these gag orders are about with the intimidation thing. Right. I obviously can go a lot deeper than this, but the overall view for him is very bad, and I think he knows it.
Yeah. So you talk about 12 rules for prosecuting Donald Trump from someone who did it successfully. How did you do it? You prosecuted the Trump University. You want to tell us about that? What we can learn from it?
Yeah. So, that case was emblematic of a lot of the things that have gone on in a bunch of these matters where we didn't get any cooperation from the Trump side at all. There, in any normal investigation or litigation, the other side is supposed to actually produce documents. That is what is supposed to happen. In the government enforcement setting, if you issue a subpoena, the subpoena target is supposed to issue documents and make people available for testimony. Trump stonewalled us. So, and then they would counterattack. They were trying to do as many things to delay and throw sand in the gears as much as possible. They were being very aggressive and trying to push back on statute of limitations grounds. They threatened the attorneys in the case, including me. And basically accused us of fabricating witness testimony falsely. All of the things that you can think of that you see now in that in the cases you see today were things that happened to us when we did this case a decade ago. And what I spell out in the book is like, how did we fight back against all of these things? Can you come up with a playbook of sort of the sort of secret game plan, and now it's becoming increasingly not so secret, but it's never really been laid out like this before to show everybody this is how it's done, and also the role that citizens can play in all of this, because it's critical to hold prosecutors accountable.
Well, that's
make sure that they're doing their jobs. This is not just, yeah.
That's fascinating. How do you do that? I mean, there have been so many times that I've wanted to share my thoughts with, the Department of Justice, and I don't have a mechanism to do it other than rant about it on the air. Let 6 million people hear it, but what can they do then?
That's a lot, Tom. That's a huge thing. I actually think that a lot of the public opinion and public support around justice and accountability is part of why these cases actually have made it as far as they have made it. I think that holds true even for DOJ, where no, Merrick Garland is not an elected official, neither is Jack Smith. However, I do believe very strongly that if it had not been for the public opinion in favor of getting to the bottom of what happened on January 6th, and then that was embodied politically in the January 6th committee in the House.
Right.
I think that if that committee had not done all of the work that it did, supported by public opinion, I don't know that DOJ would necessarily have ever gone after the ringleaders.
Yeah, they shamed Merrick Garland into this, which never should have happened. He should have been 2 years ahead of this. I mean, we shouldn't be doing this now. Go ahead.
I don't look. We have evidence now, right? We know now that they were not really looking to go after the ringleaders or organizers of J6. They were focused on getting the foot soldiers, and that's really all they were after. People had been proposing that there be an investigation opened into Trump's role, and it sat there for a year, according to reporting from the Washington Post.
Yep.
So,
well, not to mention, the Muller investigation found 10 specific prosecutable examples of Donald Trump himself or people immediately around him obstructing justice, obstructing their investigation into the association between the Trump campaign and Putin, so that they were unable to find some of the things that they were quite sure they could find, and they wanted Trump prosecuted for that. And Garland never picked any of that up either.
No, I mean, I think that
to this day.
Yeah, to this day. I think that a lot of it is, look, a lot of what I get into in the book, I spent a lot of time in the book on this. The whole first third of the book, and then I talk about it more after that, is all about leadership. The book's broken into three parts. We've got leadership, we've got the investigation phase, and then we've got the part where you actually are taking the case public. Right. The leadership part has to be there, or else you're not going to get anywhere. And that's true if you have an appointed official like Garland. And how do you actually bring political pressure to bear there? And sway public opinion and channel it in the right direction? How do you do that within the confines of a prosecutor's office? So those that are in the office that are advocating for the case to be brought can do it effectively. And then if you're talking about an elected prosecutorial official, like, say, Alvin Bragg here in New York, where I live, I think that the political pressure that was brought on Bragg to do something about Trump, it was part of what caused him to reverse course on that and finally bring a prosecution.
That was so apparent. We're talking to Tristan Snell. He's the author of a new book, former Assistant Attorney General for New York. He's the author of a new book, Taking Down Trump, 12 Steps to Prosecuting Donald Trump by Someone Who Did It Successfully. TakingDownTrump.com is the website of the book. So what specifically, Tristan, can average Americans do to help guarantee that Trump is prosecuted? And frankly, the case that troubles me more, frankly, even more than January 6th, is the Mueller investigation, is the probability that a hostile foreign power decided who would be the next president of the United States and is trying to do it again. And to the best of my knowledge, we're getting nothing on that.
There is no indication at all that there is anything cooking on that front. And every day that goes by, we get closer to which is shocking. And every day that goes by is a day that we're closer to the statutes of limitation running on those offenses.
Yes.
A lot of them have already run. The things having to do with 2016. Now there are ways that you can get around that, but it's difficult, not worth getting into.
But even just for history.
Yeah.
Or just so that Congress can act. I mean, Congress should be looking into this. Where the hell is Chuck Schumer, for that matter?
And the laws that we ought to be passing to try to prevent some of these things from happening again. They did a little bit of work to tighten up the Electoral Count Act. After J6, there's probably another 50 laws that ought to get passed to prevent some of these things from happening again. Yeah.
And of course, none of those things are going to get passed in terms of lawmaking as long as you've
got, at the moment,
MAGA Mike running the House of Representatives. But the Senate can do investigations, and I think you're absolutely right. The January 6th investigation is what brought us these prosecutions, and and the House is just doing nonstop investigation. This charade with Hunter Biden and all this kind of nonsense. So. Can you just very quickly, we're going to have to wrap it up in a minute here, we got a hard break coming, but real quickly, if you could just tell us that you prosecuted the Trump University scam. And, I talked about this on Twitter the other day, and a bunch of right-wingers came back and said, it was no big deal, and he was being harassed for just running a business poorly and stuff. What was the crime there?
The crime there was fraud. Well, so to be clear, we did not charge a criminal offense in that matter. I still think it was civil. But the offense that was done there, it's a legal violation. It just isn't a criminal violation. Under New York law, there is this There are statutes on the books, one in particular for what we refer to as statutory fraud. The biggest one that's an issue in a number of these cases is called Executive Law 6312. Only the AG can bring a case under that statute, but it has to do with all of these misrepresentations. So there were a whole slew of them. At the end of the day, a couple of the big ones, they said that all of these, instructors, the teachers, were going to be handpicked by Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't know who any of them were, had never met any of them, had nothing to do with it. They said it was Donald Trump's secrets for investing in real estate. The curriculum had nothing to do with Trump and was designed by a company down in Florida that creates high-pressure sales programs for timeshares and other wealth creation programs. Yeah. This whole thing was a motivational speaker seminar series of the shadiest sort, wrapped in the gold veneer of the Trump brand, making people think that Trump had something to do with it. He did have something to do with it in that he signed off on all the marketing pieces that contained fraudulent statements in them. He made $5 million in profit off of this thing. So it wasn't even a failed business. The MAGA people are saying like, oh, you're coming after him for running a business badly. Ironically, it was one of the better businesses that he ever ran in terms of its profit margins. The thing is that he was lying.
Because it was
worse. He was lying to his own superfans.
Yeah.
That's the thing that just kills me about it. These were people who idolized Donald Trump. They adored him. And he ripped them off.
He still is.
Completely.
You know, with the little pre-filled in boxes, yes, make my contribution monthly. I mean, he's been, it's just, it's like H.L. Mencken and P.T. Barnum. They were both right. And this is the guy that embodies it. Tristan Snell, the new book is Taking Down Trump, 12 Rules for Prosecuting Donald Trump by someone who did it successfully. TakingDownTrump.com, the website. You can follow him over on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it, at Tristan Snell. Tristan, thanks a lot for dropping by. Great talking with you.
Thank you.
My
Take
pleasure.
care.
Yeah, thank you.